Coming up tonight, health officials waiting for COVID-19 tests for a group of South Americans who entered the country. Meanwhile, a Jamaican hitman allegedly arrested in Grand Bahama. And recovery efforts on Elbow Key still underway.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, health consultant Dr. Mercelyn Dalregis confirming that a group of South Americans entered the country. However, she says officials are still waiting to receive their COVID-19 tests. This as officials are requiring international travelers into the country to have a negative COVID-19 test.
Indeed, we had a landing of nationals from South America that came in. We are investigating this as we speak. We are told that they have had, and we await receipt of those tests. And once we receive them, we will determine that they were good, valid, positive, or negative.
135 Mexicans are at Baker's Bay for 90 days to assist with the recovery and reconstruction there. Dalregis says there hasn't been a confirmed case of COVID-19 in the Bahamas in 18 days. She says if those South Americans or anybody enters without a test, the government will test them.
I give you the assurance that health will require that each individual who landed present with a negative PCR test, and if it doesn't meet the qualifications, we will do it. We will do the tests to be sure that we have no transmission, and if there is a positive test, we will deal with it.
Dalregis also defended the decision to allow visitors from the United States, where COVID-19 cases have been on the rise, to enter the country. She says it allowed them to avoid the diplomatic complications of naming countries.
And we are assured that if we try this methodology, that we would be informed pretty soon. It said as we follow the cases, we hope we get no cases, but we'll see how this methodology works. So it's the individual that is banned if they have risk factors rather than the country.
Police say a notorious Jamaican fugitive has been captured on Grand Bahama. Shortly after 12 on Wednesday, a team of officers from the Criminal Investigation Department, Rapid Response and Security Intelligence Branch in Grand Bahama, while armed with a search warrant, went to the Victoria Inn located on Midshipman Road, where they arrested a male Jamaican national who was affiliated with a gang out of Jamaica named No Dollars, No Cents, and is a known hitman who is based in Hopetown, St. Andrews, Jamaica. He is suspected of entering the Bahamas for the purposes of a contracted murder. He is currently connected to a number of murders in Jamaica. National Security Minister Marvin says Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis will soon make an address that will speak to the curfew and further restrictions in the fight against COVID-19. His comments came during the passing out ceremony for 100 new members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Kyle Joaquin tells us more.
The Prime Minister will be making some other pronouncements certainly very shortly, and I don't want to circumvent what those pronouncements will be, but they will be added measures to ensure that we are able to maintain this level of protection.
Dames's comments came on day 2 of the country's borders reopening for visitors, and as some question whether police can truly enforce the law, making it mandatory to wear a mask in public or face a fine of $200.
So far, so good, wouldn't you say? So far, so good. I mean, you know, we can walk around our country without any serious concerns about COVID being in every corner and having community spread. That's as a result of planning.
The National Security Minister spoke with reporters on the sideline of the Royal Bahamas Police Force's passing out ceremony for its 100 new officers.
You are afforded the opportunity to lead this
profession in a bold new era, one which will reestablish the trust that had been broken between your profession and the people with whose consent you are called upon to support.
James has charged officers. The heat got to several of them, and they passed out, prompting senior officers to run to their aid. The event was a momentous one as friends and family of the 77 men and 23 new women constables cheered them on. All role implored the new officers to remember that they aren't above the law and that the community is looking to them to set an example.
So recruits, follow the path of truth. Your role entails helping those that need help and arresting those who prey on society. Be cognizant of this one thing. Right is right, even if no one else is doing it.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
10 months after Hurricane Dorian, many areas are still without power, with little or no progress towards rebuilding some homes and businesses. However, there are some Abaco communities where the progress is visible. Jerome Sawyer recently visited Hopetown on Elbow Key and filed this report.
76-year-old Roy Cash left Hopetown 5 days after Hurricane Dorian. His home, built in the mid-1800s, was all but demolished in the strong winds and sea surge.
It would have been okay, mostly, but that house just across the street, it had a big high wraparound deck which blew off and slammed into my house.
After making his way to the U.S., he and his wife and pets hopped across several states, staying with family. A few months ago, he returned to the Key, hoping to move back into a rebuilt home by December. With the help of Samaritan's Purse, a global charitable group, and his son, the elderly Elbow Key resident says he's thrilled to see his new home coming together.
I'm very happy to what's going on. This group, Samaritan's Purse, they've been wonderful. I mean, they get not everything, but they're on the ball.
A few doors down, Vernon Malone operates a convenience store. His home at the end of the street was also wiped out in the storm.
My home was destroyed by 3 other buildings coming up against it.
While business is back to normal, unlike Cash, no work has started to rebuild Malone's home.
Because we're waiting for one of the NGOs to come and help me rebuild it.
Yet he is pleased with the progress made here in 10 months since the storm. But there is still a long way to go here. Power is sporadic, the main hotel destroyed, the school heavily damaged, and the future of the biggest tourist attraction, the Hopetown Lighthouse, remains uncertain due to a lack of funding to repair it. This small but seemingly wealthy community may be further along than many others, but still a far distance from a full return to normalcy nearly 1 year after Hurricane Dorian. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jerome Sawyer.
Following the shooting of a 2-year-old girl on Eleuthera over the weekend, wife of the Prime Minister, PATRICIA, MINNIS, said communities should be moved to march when children are caught in the middle of violent acts. Gillian Gray reports.
Addressing the latest shooting incident that left a young girl in hospital, wife of the Prime Minister, PATRICIA, MINNIS, said communities should be outraged when children get caught in the crossfire of crime.
We need to be outraged about that. There's a lot of things that we seem to be outraged of, but that is so important for all of the community and get together. We need to march for this. We need to really tell our young men who are killing themselves and who are killing innocent people to stop. They have to stop because they don't want it to happen to their mother, their sister. This child was being held by her grandmother in her lap when she was shot.
2-year-old Denala Roberts was shot in the abdomen on Saturday while being held by her grandmother, who recalled how the young girl kept saying how afraid she was while waiting for the doctor. Weeks earlier, 10-year-old Laurencia Walks died in hospital after being shot in the head during a drive-by shooting. MINNIS said she continues to work with women and young girls but has extended her reach to young men in order to direct them from crime.
By every which means, we have to get to them. I am trying to get some of the young men in the Gambia area where I work with to go to BTVI so they can not be hanging around and being in gangs. Each one of us has to reach one. and we have to move them into doing something productive with their lives that they don't want to or find the need to be a part of gangs and with the gun culture.
Denala is recovering from her injuries in the intensive care unit of Princess Margaret Hospital. MINNIS said she has raised funds from relatives, friends, and the Women and Girls Mentoring Coalition to donate to the Toddlers Medical Fund. She appealed to the public to assist as well.
If you have an extra $20 or whatever, donate it at Commonwealth Bank so that she can get the kidney transplant that she may need. Please, in any way. I know we are dealing with hard times for many of you who are not working, but just if you can forego maybe the nails money or some other, fast food money, just every $20 help.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Borders may have reopened, but many tourist hotspots remain empty. Our News hit the streets to find out what visitors were up to in the first few hours of their vacation. Georgie O'Bain reports.
With major hotels still closed, along with many other tourist hotspots, we met a couple on the beach who said that they won't let closures put a damper on their vacation. It wasn't very easy finding tourists one day after borders reopened. Typical hotspots like the Fish Fry and Junkanoo Beach were quiet. As we ventured further west to Orange Hill Beach, we found Blake Willoughby and Tara Humble sunbathing.
We were apprehensive at first because we were trying not to be too excited because we didn't want to be disappointed if it got canceled, but everything has been really smooth so far.
I mean, this is our first time here, so we're excited just to see the beaches and go to restaurants and just experience the culture a little more.
As we circled the downtown area again, we met Kimberly Shark, who described her visit so far as quiet. She's a member of a flight crew that frequents New Providence, and she said this vacation so far has been shocking as so many places are still closed.
We usually stay at Atlantis. Atlantis is closed, but even just simple things like going to the pool. You can't go sit by the pool. I'm here for 3 days. It's like, what are you supposed to do? So a lot of the restaurants are closed, or they don't open till later, or they close early. So that affects, we can't even go to like the local spots to go eat. And it's one of my pilot's first times here, so we can't even show them around.
Now, while some enjoyed the beach, other tourist hotspots like here in downtown Nassau met many places still shuttered. We met one tourist walking who said that this is not the vacation spot that she's grown to know and love.
For anyone coming here for the first time, this isn't the Bahamas. This isn't the experience that you get. I would definitely wait a little bit until things start opening up a little more.
With the majority of visitors flying in from Florida, which has seen a tremendous spike in cases, we asked them what the situation is like back home.
The entire city, the cases are rising, but people are still going about their day as if nothing's even happening.
Blake admitted that things are a little crazy back home with the steady number of growing COVID-19 cases, but he said he's been pleased with the measures taken by the Bahamas.
I think they were really thorough and careful about trying to enforce social distancing, making sure people had face coverings and had good hand hygiene, and then everything was pretty orderly and custom.
Reporting for our News, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
Still to come on our News, hotel bookings off to a slow start. Plus, why the taxi union chief believes borders were open too soon. Stay tuned. Bookings got off to a slow start, but a popular Paradise Island hotel is expecting business to pick up over the 4th of July weekend. Berthany McDermott reports.
Even after hundreds of tourists touched down in New Providence as the country reopened its borders, Paradise Island, which was teeming with visitors pre-COVID-19, remains a ghost town with little to no guests in sight. Over at Rio Palace, Paradise Island, which reopened on Wednesday, bookings are low, but General Manager NICOLAS PORTANET says they're expecting business to pick up.
From tomorrow, because of July 4th weekend, we are seeing an increase of pickup of reservations for the weekend, local as well as guests from the USA.
Now, while guest numbers are low at this time, we did come across one guest who said despite the new protocols put in place, she had no issues visiting the Bahamas and staying at this hotel. Here we met Mona, a nurse visiting from Nashville, Tennessee for 1 week. The healthcare professional had no qualms about following new requirements to enter the country.
I'm very familiar with the COVID and the regulations, so I think I really knew what was happening before I came and the limitations that it was going to be when I came here. I didn't come for the casino. I didn't come for excursions. I came for just this resort, this view, this and this.
To ensure the safety of its staff and guests, workers are stationed at Rio's entrance, taking visitors' temperatures and providing them with hand sanitizers and masks.
Okay, thank you.
The restaurant remains closed, and in the pool area, chairs have been separated. Social distancing markers have been placed on the ground, and employees frequently wipe down frequently touched objects and surfaces. And to avoid long lines during check-in, there is an app for that.
You can download the Rio app, and it's going to allow you to view your reservation. You can do a pre-check-in or an advanced check-in. You can see the restaurants that we have open. You can see the amenities that we have available.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Amid a massive surge in COVID-19 cases across the United States, Bahamas Taxicab Union President Wesley Ferguson says it was careless to reopen our borders to tourists so soon. Ferguson says while taxi drivers are in desperate need of a stable income, the health risks now outnumber the monetary gain. Jasmine Brown tells us more.
The Taxicab Union president was candid in his comments as he insisted the government may have acted a little prematurely in welcoming back international visitors.
I think we are being a little bit careless because I think in the interest of having tourists back in our shores and to be the #1 tourist destination, that reputation, we are now putting the reputation ahead of our health.
Ferguson was adamant that the government was premature in welcoming back tourists, given the fact that the virus is raging in the United States. He said some of the measures put in place to stop the spread of COVID-19 are simply not enough to keep workers in the tourism industry safe. Those measures include visitors having to get their temperatures taken and answer questions from the nurses attached to the Ministry of Health after landing.
We have no way of telling that these people for sure have the requisite COVID test.
He suggested that the government should have taken a cue from Atlanta's Paradise Island Resort, which delayed its opening until the end of July due to a spike in cases in the U.S. The country opened to commercial travel on July 1st. Roughly 600 people traveled to New Providence on that first day. According to the Center for Disease Control, there were more than 40,000 new cases in the United States on July 1st. There are more than 2.6 million cases of COVID-19 across the United States. Ferguson said while he understands why some taxi drivers have returned to the job, they are taking a huge risk.
Taxi drivers have to be apprehensive and cautious because we are basically the first ones that the tourists have an extended, other than the airplane, they have an extended amount of time in close proximity with the taxi driver in an enclosed area. COVID-19 has no profile. So you let these people in here and you don't know who you're letting in. And, and that might sound harsh and a lot of people might think I'm being negative because, like I said before, a lot of people think from their wallets instead of from their health.
Ferguson says while he agrees tourists must return at some point, he believes letting them in now will erase the headway that has seen local COVID-19 cases dwindle. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
When Our News comes back from the break, the Office of the Spouse makes a donation to nurses. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The Women and Girls Mentoring Coalition in the Office of the Spouse of the Prime Minister donated pampering bags to the Nurses Association today. Patricia MINNIS said it is important to show appreciation to those on the front line of the fight against the coronavirus.
I really appreciate, I want to honor nurses as they just celebrated Nurses Month last month, and 2020 is Year of the Nurse. There are many healthcare workers now who deserve to be honored as well. And we'd like to say thank you to them, and we appreciate them.
The packages include bath salts, body creams, and other goodies aimed at helping nurses to de-stress after a long shift. Head of the Nurses Association, Rebecca Johnson, thanked MINNIS for the donation.
On behalf of the members of the Nurses Association of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, I mean, we are elated. We are so happy that you are here today to show us such love and such support. We are committed to continue to help to maintain a high standard of healthcare delivery in our country. So we thank you, and we are willing to support you in all your endeavors, and we are going to continue to strive for excellence in healthcare in our country.
2,000 people receive assistance at the New Providence Community Church. The details after this. A weekly give back at New Providence Community Church has grown to help hundreds of families impacted by Hurricane Dorian. Pastor Matthew Sweeting said for the last 9 months, the church, with the help of donors, has been handing out boxes every Thursday with enough groceries to feed a family of 6 for 7 days.
This has been an 18-year relationship to natural disasters. We just try to figure out as a church how to respond to our country in need. For the last 9 months, we've been feeding evacuees. We're just going to continue to do that for now. So people who are stuck here from Abaco and Grand Bahama, they come out here every Thursday, and you have to get registered. But once you're on the list, then we make sure you get fed.
Some families drove up from the crack of dawn in hopes of getting assistance. Due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, Sweeting said many more families have reached out for help.
And we do primarily, at this point in time, we do curbside service. That way you just pull your car up and we already know you're in line. We just come up to your car and put your food in the car for you. You don't even have to get out of your car. So people like that it's consistent. They can come every week. They also like they don't have to beg. We're not a begging organization. Right. It's just about giving back. If you don't keep it that simple, people won't feel valued, you know?
Thank you for joining us for our news tonight. To catch our news on the go, download the Rev Go Play app. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jared Higgs. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.